to Spirit of Unity's online ministry. My name is Reverend Alicia Leslie, and today we are celebrating the second Sunday of Advent, the Sunday that we celebrate peace. Oh, I know, it may not seem very peaceful around your house these days, or in your neighborhood, or even in the world, but I promise you that peace is a possibility. You may wonder, well, if peace is a possibility, why don't we have any? I don't think it's about God not hearing our prayers or our desires for peace. I think it's maybe that we don't understand what our place is, what part that we are in the process of becoming peacemakers. Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, because they will be called children of God." Well, in Unity, we teach that we are all children of God. So therefore, we all have the potential to be peacemakers and express that part of us that is as children of God. You know, last week we talked about, there was a time when people wanted Jesus to come in and Jesus to come back now and to fix us and to fix everything, when actually he came and he taught us how to fix things, and it's our turn to establish peace. First, in our minds and our hearts, in our families, in our communities, in our workplaces, and reaching out to the world. We're all happy to sing the peace song, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Well, what does that look like? What does that look like to be a peacemaker? Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. How are you a peacemaker this week? Did you allow yourself to get in a frenzy? Did you snap at anybody? Did you get agitated with the people, the poor checkout people, in the stores who are already on their feet all day and tired and cranky themselves? We have such an opportunity to be peacemakers, even in the midst of craziness. And Christmas can be a pretty crazy time, contrary to the divine idea of what Christmas can be. I mean, don't they say that Christmas is so crazy? It's the only time of the year you're going to see people sitting around a dead tree in their living room eating candy out of their socks. Well, that sounds pretty crazy to me. And our families, we all have such high expectations of what's going to happen with the holidays in our families that some of us just can't get to that place of peace because of our expectations. There was this father that picked up the phone one day and he called his son and he said, "Listen, son," he said, "I got to tell you, I don't want to ruin your holidays, but, your mom and I are getting a divorce. We talked about it, and I don't mean to upset you, and I know we haven't even seen you in a long time, but it's just we can't do it any longer. We were waiting for the kids to grow up. We were waiting for this, waiting for that. We're not waiting any longer. We can't stand each other. We're getting a divorce, and I am packing. I'm going to go to a motel tonight, and we'll just let you know what happens from there." And the son just going, but Dad, you can't, but Dad. And he said, "No, it's settled. We're doing it. Now you need to call your sister and tell her, because I can't deal with anything anymore. I got to go back." And he hung up. So the son hung up the phone and he picked it up again, called his sister, and he said, "You're not going to believe this, but Mom and Dad are getting a divorce. It's terrible. They said they can't stand each other." And she goes, wait a minute. She doesn't say, "Oh, I'm not getting a divorce." And the son said, "But it's already discussed. He said, Dad said he's packing, he's going to a hotel tonight. That's it, it's done." And she said, "Listen, you call the airline right now. You get yourself a ticket to fly out tonight or tomorrow. I'm getting a ticket, and they are not going to do anything until they talk to us. And you tell them, you call Dad, and you tell him right now." So the son goes, "Well, okay." So the son calls the father back up, and he goes, "Dad," he said, he said, "We've talked about it, and do not do another thing until we come down. If you want to get a divorce, you get a divorce, but not until we come down and talk with you about it. And don't pack. Stop packing right now and wait. At least wait a few days." So the father said, "Well, all right, we'll wait a few days." And they hung up. So then the mother goes, "Honey, who was that on the phone?" And the father said, "Oh, it was our son. The kids are coming for the holidays." and the importance of being with family at the holidays. So you want to think about that one. Even if they annoy you and tap dance on your last nerve, let that be an opportunity for you to learn to be a peacemaker. Now, it's not just about the peace in our own hearts and minds and lives and families. In the world, there is so much concern about peace, and there's so much war, and there's so much violence and unrest, and I know it's just so scary, but I want to remind you to try to find that place of peace in your mind and in your heart. You know, Jesus said, "My peace I leave with you. My peace I give you, not as the world do I give. Fear not. Let not your mind be troubled." There it is, folks. There it is. Let not your mind be troubled. My peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. What is that peace? It is the teaching. It is the teaching that we can be peacemakers. When the angel appeared to the shepherd, she said, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you glad tidings of great joy, of peace on earth to men of good will." I know the song "I Heard the Bells on Christmas" Day says, peace on earth, goodwill to men, but the way the angel said it, peace on earth to men of goodwill. Do we have goodwill? Will is the executive faculty of the mind. It is that part of us that makes decisions, that we stick to. The executive, executive makes big decisions for big important things. Well, what's more important than aligning your will with the will of God to be all you can be, to follow the Prince of Peace and be a peacemaker? You can do it. On December 24th in 1914, Christmas Eve, and it was in Belgium, and there was a battle going on with the Germans on one side and the British on the other side. And they'd been fighting for days, and the bloodshed was horrible, and the battleground was covered in bodies and blood. And at night, the fighting had slowed down as everyone settled in for the night. And in that dark night, suddenly a church bell was heard announcing Christmas. It was midnight. And in the middle of this war, in the middle of the bloody battlefield, a German soldier stood up and began to sing Silent Night in his language. And on the other side, one of the English soldiers stood up and joined him singing Silent Night in English. And then another and another. And they all sang together. And when the song was over, the soldier who had started it said, "Please, I don't want to fight today. I have beer, I have food. We will share our beer and our food with you." And the soldiers from both sides came together in that sacred moment of time, and they helped each other to bury their dead, and they ate the food, and they drank the beer, and they said prayers, and they sang songs. And then, by the end of the day, they went back to their own sides, and the next day the fighting resumed. What if this moment in time, when they stopped fighting, when they established peace, what if that could happen every day? I promise you that if we start living peace-filled lives, our peace will shine forth, the peace that passes understanding. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said that peace is harmony and tranquility derived from consciousness of Christ, the conscious awareness of that spark of divinity, the Christ within. And I do say, blessed are the peacemakers, and the peacemakers are you and me, and we can be peacemakers when we choose to be. When we say, I can choose peace instead of this. I invite you to say that with me, even if you're sitting all by yourself in your little living room in your jammies. Say this with me. I can choose peace instead of this. Bring that into your holiday. I'm not telling you that you can set it up right this minute, that you're not going to have any of those challenges, because chances are you are. I'm going to give you tools to help you get through it. As a matter of fact, I'd like to give you tools through an acronym of peace. And if you would like a copy of this, please just email me. There's a link to email me, or just email spiritofunity@sbcglobal.net, and I will send you these simple peace thoughts. P, begin with a positive attitude. No matter what's going on, get your attitude positive. Even in the midst of Grinch-like people or Ebenezer Scrooge himself, keep your positive attitude. E is for expectation. The manifestation of our expectation is not another person's responsibility. What is our expectation? Is it flexible? Is there room for adjustment and error? Is there room for God to provide a greater blessing? A is for acceptance. We accept each person for who they are as they are. It is not another person's mission to be who or what we want them to be. And to accept a person as they are doesn't mean to approve of behaviors we consider negative, but to accept them in spite of that negative behavior. C is for consecration. Consecrate your life to its highest expression as a child of God. To consecrate is to dedicate to a sacred purpose. So if you're biting your tongue rather than snapping back at somebody, if you're taking deep breaths, counting to 10, smiling if you don't feel like smiling, remember, you are doing it for a sacred purpose. And E is for endurance. Challenges and differences of opinion are a natural part of our uniqueness and diversity. Enduring tolerance is a key to peace. We endure our differences. Hey, you know what? Maybe you can't avoid some of the annoyances that are going to happen, but you can glide through them. You have a choice. Do you want to be nasty, uptight, and frustrated all through the holiday, or do you want to be peace and have peace and share peace? Why? Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And I bless you as a fellow peacemaker, and I invite you to have a wonderful week, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you next week when we're celebrating joy. Until then, know that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, and the presence